Hey, what's up? Welcome to World Wrestling Live. Here another week, another show. I got an awesome young man on my show from Central Michigan. He was a three-time NCAA qualifier there, one-time All-American. He was a four-year state letterman in his state of Michigan, where he went 207-12, took home two state titles. I'm sure there's a lot more that he's done, but that's just a little synopsis. Uh, Dresden Simon. Did I fuck that name up? I did good.
You did not. Yeah, perfect.
When I sent the
Perfect.
email out, I put an O instead of an E and it kicked back to me. But we got,
Yeah.
we got Dresden Simon on here from the Chippewas. He's now the assistant coach here in Florida. You can see the Buffalo Wrestling Club behind me. He's moved himself into the Buffalo Wrestling Club and Villages High School up there with Coach Wayne. Welcome, man. Welcome to Florida. A little warmer than where you're from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I moved down here actually, I want to say like the end of May. And when I left Michigan, it was about 50 degrees out, something like that. I came down first day, like when I stepped out of the car, it was like 85 or 90 out. So
So
just all the time.
you'll have those boys out there hitting the road miles, right?
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful though, man. It's heat exhaustion is real. These guys are probably used.
Some of these guys are, but then they start doubling up and they're putting sweatshirts on and all
Oh
the
yeah.
rubber and plastic and all that. And we always got to kind of pull them back a little bit. Be like, yo, relax. It's okay. It's better to, it's better to wrestle a different weight than die, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so it's cool, man. So listen, great career at the Chippewas. I know you probably gained a year because of the COVID situation. Uh, Wrestling for Tom Borelli over there, who we were talking before this. What a great man, what a great family. Just an absolute legend. And what what was that like, man, wrestling for a guy like that?
Um, yeah, so it was definitely an awesome experience. So I remember when I was like getting recruited by him, he's telling me how CMU is like a really hardworking place. Like you have to be really dedicated, really have to like be prepared to work hard and grind and like just kind of that old school mentality kind of it's almost like Iowa, right? We don't kind of get the respect that Iowa gets, but it's the same mentality. You're training to be like the baddest dude on the mat, the toughest guy on the mat, always trying to beat up your opponent, right? So, um, yeah, just that mentality, and yeah, it was a really fun place to be for sure.
That's awesome. So you just recently graduated, right? I mean,
Yes, sir. In May, I graduated. So
and so you decide to you qualified. So you were in Detroit, correct?
yeah, yep,
I was there too, watching those matches. That was a great experience for me. First time I ever been. Um, and you went, I think, 2-2 this year, right?
yeah, yeah. I didn't wrestle very well.
So that's cool. Um, yeah, but hey, listen, you qualified for the tournament, got a couple wins. I'm sure there's many wrestlers that have been through college that didn't do that. So it is successful. I know right now you're still at the moment where you're like, no, it fucking sucked. I don't want to do it. I want to go back. I want another chance, right?
Absolutely, probably be like that for a long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. But when you get to be like an older dude, you'd be like, yo, I competed there. That was cool when you're taking your kids, right? Um, but yeah, so that was a cool tournament. What made the decision to transition now to getting into coaching and coming down to Florida?
Yes. So coaching is something I've always been interested in pursuing as a career. Um, as long as I can remember in high school, even I was always there helping out like the youth practices at my high school and stuff like that, and even helping out like my fellow teammates in high school. Always trying to coach them, always trying to like help improve them, always screaming while they're wrestling and dual meets and stuff like that. I've always been super involved and in just helping other people get better at wrestling just because I know how much the sport has done for me and how it's changed my life. So just trying to give back a little bit and do that for other people. And as far as moving down here, so my girlfriend works for Disney.
Ah,
So she's a good gig lined up and I was definitely interested in coaching at the college level, Division I specifically. Had a couple coaches reach out to me, but I ended up finding this gig down here, and my girlfriend was already down here, so figured I'd try it out, see what high school's all about again. It's been a while since I've been around a high school room, so
Yeah, I mean, it was perfect timing because they just had another awesome young coach transition in the last few years with Enoch going over to Stanford.
yeah,
So it's good to get a nice, I'm sure it's good for them to get a nice, young, energetic D1 talent in the room and kind of maybe just take over where he left off and continue to grow that program. It seems like they're doing really well up there in the villages and um,
absolutely,
man, the school, the club, the wrestling room. I mean, you guys, it's all state of the art up there. So uh,
absolutely.
hopefully you find a really good home there. What when coming into coach high school again and transitioning, what are some of the things that you feel like you'll bring to the program and even bring to the state of Florida to where you'll
Right.
continue helping us grow as a wrestling state.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I definitely bring like an old school mentality just because that's the way like I've been taught how to wrestle, really grind, really wrestle hard, really like impose your will on the other guy. Uh, I think wrestling nowadays, especially the younger guys, are trying to like we're moving more towards like a flashy style, trying to be more slick and stuff like that. And I think wrestling is a pretty basic sport. It's been more or less the same since it started. And I think at the end of the day, whoever the tougher guy is, whoever's in better shape, whoever is more mentally tough than the other guy, is more than likely going to win that wrestling match. So I think that's something that I'm going to teach to the guys I'm coaching. Something I'm going to like try to instill in the guys that are in our room. So
And listen, we have some great. We have Connor Beebe, who was a Chippewa down here running a club, bringing his wrestling. We have a Chippewa who was a tremendous Florida wrestler now out coaching Campbell. It seems like Tom Borelli really spits out a lot of great people. So far coming into Florida, have you how much have you been in the room already? Have you been to tournaments? Have you been taking kids out there? What's it been like now transitioning to being in the corner and not being able to kind of control what's happening on the mat?
right. Um, so yeah, we've been doing some practices through our like Stampeders club. So just anyone who wants to show up to practice, we've been doing a lot of those. We're kind of in more of our preseason now, so you have a little bit more participation, which is awesome. Um, yeah, I haven't really been to any tournaments yet, but I'm excited to start coaching. I really like being in the corner. I really like breaking down what people are doing, like the mistakes they make, the things they're doing well, and really just trying to help guys improve. Man, this wrestling's an awesome sport. So
Yeah, maybe get around and do some clinics around the state and do some stuff up there. There's a
yeah,
lot that goes on during the off season. I know my son is going to the Rumble this weekend down at Spartan RTC. And you see
okay,
a lot of kids come down from all over the state and sometimes up from Georgia to some of those that you'll see that going on everywhere. So there's a bunch of opportunities to not just coach them in your room, but even make those trips, get them to see different drill partners and do some
yeah,
fun stuff. What's it? I always ask people when they come on. The reason I started the show was just wrestling makes a difference, right? Um, you know, talk about how it's made a difference in your life. What is without wrestling, who would you be?
yeah. So honestly, it's hard to say where I'd be without wrestling. I really think my life would be a lot different. I think I was always like a pretty aggressive kid, always had a lot of energy, always was trying to do something. And I think probably would have found myself in a lot of trouble if I didn't have an outlet like wrestling, something where I could be really physical, really push myself, really try to come into the room and like improve at something every day. I think I kind of probably would have went a little crazy without something like that in my life. And in addition to that, I think I was never really like the type of kid who was super excited about school. Not that I was like not intelligent or anything like that. I just never found school super interesting unless it was like the couple like little subjects that I really liked. So I'm not sure if I really would have went to college without wrestling, to be honest with you. And I ended up graduating with a master's degree last year from Central Michigan. So I think wrestling's made a huge impact on my life. It's brought me really close to a lot of friends, a lot of people. I've made a lot of connections, able to do things like this, which are really cool. So wrestling's given me my entire life so far. So definitely thankful for that and excited to give that to other kids. So
That's awesome. What I know you've only been here for a short time. Have you taken a snapshot of kind of Florida wrestling yet and seen where it is and kind of maybe how you're like, man, we can input this, we can input that, or we're growing as a state. I know you're from Michigan, which wrestling is life there. Um,
yeah.
how do you see our state so far that you've been around it?
Yeah, so Michigan definitely is a little bit different culture than it is down here. It's a little definitely not the best state, but it's up there. We have a lot of gritty guys, a lot of tough wrestlers. Transitioning down here, you guys are definitely bringing in a lot of resources. So things like Lake Island Prep, all the rumbles they put on, Mako. Um, I've seen a lot of guys. So Sidarian Perry is coaching at a local high school down here. He was an All-American for a MAC school. Um, Bringing in guys like me. Not trying to toot my own horn, but it, Florida is definitely trying to ramp up and trying to compete. And I think we're going to be one of the top states here in the next couple of years, just with all the effort that's being put into wrestling down here. I can see Florida being a top state. So
It's awesome. We just took the team Florida over to Fargo. Is that an event you participated in when you were younger?
yeah, so I wrestled in Fargo twice. Yep.
What I talked to a lot of wrestlers now that never got to experience that, and they wish they would have.
Yeah.
I can see why, because I experienced it for the first time. And it seems like kids are going to come out from experiencing that and be tougher, stronger, have more confident. Even the ones that go 1-2 or 0-2 or 2-2 or 5-2
Right.
or whatever it is, it seems like the energy in that room, the level of the wrestling and the experience has got to take you out the other side and think, man, I can really compete in life. Is that something that you realize too, going through those big events like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I was always pretty good. Two-time state champ. The other 2 years. So my freshman year I got third, sophomore year I got second, junior, senior year I got first in the state. And I'd go out to Fargo and like at cadet duels, junior duels and stuff like that. I would beat these top guys. Right? I beat Chad Red one year and Dylan Duncan in the same year at cadet duels. And I went to Fargo a couple weeks later and they both won the tournament. Chad Red got first at 126 and Dylan Duncan got first at 120. And I ended up losing in the blood round. I didn't place. So after that, I really realized was like, wow, you really have to be focused, dialed in, locked in at all times. Like I can compete and beat the guys that win the tournament, but I show up and I'm not locked in and I lose in the blood round, right? So like it definitely made me realize that it's not something you can mess around with. You have to be dialed in, locked in at all times, or else you're not going to get the results you want or that like you could get, right? I was definitely good enough at that time to win the tournament, but I ended up not even placing, and that's because just I wasn't prepared. I didn't think I needed to be as locked in as I needed to be. So yeah, definitely a lot of life lessons out there.
Yeah, the energy in that place is insane. And I mean, this year is 7,200 kids, so it was absolutely incredible. You talked a little bit about being locked in. Um, how important is it to bring mindset to your new club and your new team, and how important is it for wrestlers, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I yeah, this is something I definitely struggled with personally throughout my career. I would always beat I would always beat really good guys. I would always, even throughout college, high school, like I just mentioned, throughout college, I would always beat All Americans, guys that were really good. Um, throughout the year, and then it comes the national tournament time, and I just couldn't get it done. I couldn't get to where I wanted to be, and I think that's something I'm definitely going to stress a lot when I'm coaching, because it affected me personally. So I think just making them realize how important it is to stay focused at all times, no matter how you feel, no matter like you think you're going to beat this guy by a million points, right? You need to stay dialed in, locked in at all times, or else you're not going to get the results you want to get. So,
coming just fresh out of college, and being in high school rooms now, what are the biggest things that you will instill in boys and girls to make sure they're transitioning from high school to college and properly and being somewhat ready?
right. Yeah. So I think just staying disciplined, making sure you're doing the right things at all times, kind of like I touched on before. Um, you always have to be putting effort in, right? You can control the amount of effort you put in. You can't control how like athletically gifted you are. You can't control like the circumstances you're under, right? But you can always control how hard you work and how hard you push yourself. So I think that's something I'm really going to make sure that we focus on in the room, is just making sure we're giving full effort all the time, no matter how you feel, no matter what the circumstances are. So
Yeah, because when I talk to a lot of guys that when they're transitioning to coaching, there's so much that they bring back now that they've been in college, and they see things and they're like, kids are getting away with stuff in high school, I guess you would say, right? Because there's one of the reasons, I guess, one of the reasons why they don't have the ride time in high school is because the difference in athlete is so great. Sometimes you could have a kid that can just ride out the whole tournament because he's just so much more talented than everyone else. But in college, the level's much closer. So you see kids that get kind of confident and they feel like they can walk in and not be ready to beat anybody, and they're doing that at the high school level. But if someone's not there to prepare their mindset for what they're about to experience when they go back to
yeah,
being the worst guy in the room, or the guy that's not as good in the room, understanding that you got to start over again, right? And I think that's what
right.
we lose kids when they transition to college, because they're not prepared for that. They think because they've been the best their whole life, they're going to continue to be the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I've seen that in college with like really successful Florida guys. They don't always do the best right off the bat in college, just because like I feel like the top guys in Florida are really, really good, but the depth in Florida isn't quite there yet. Not everyone's on board yet. Not everyone's caught on um, that wrestling is progressing down here. So I think these top guys are wrestling guys, and they're like, "Wow, I'm smoking everyone. I'm the best ever," right? And they transition to college, and everyone's as good as they are, and it's tough for some of those dudes to handle. I know that was something that I struggled with personally. I thought I was super good. I thought I was a superstar coming out of high school. Um, I got into the college room. I started getting beat up a lot. I was like, wow, this is hard to go in your transition. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you hear that a lot because, and I didn't realize what people meant until, like, I would get coaches that say, "Hey, can you do our orange and black game, or red and blue game, or green and white game, or whatever match or tournament or whatever duel, I guess duel, right?" And then I
yeah,
do research of their teams, and it wouldn't matter what I was, whether it was D1, D2, D3, NAIA. You start researching the duel, and you're like, man, there's 33 state champions on that team. There's 28 state champions, 15 state
right,
champions, and none of them are starting yet. They're all, or some of them don't. And it's cool to have the influx of the mindsets like yourself and other guys that are coming out of college and having that recent, they just recently they were there experiencing these things, and they're bringing them to you saying, hey, um, I'm telling you, if you can't get off the bottom here, it's going to be really tough there, right? Or if you can't hand fight here, it's going to be really tough there, right? Um,
absolutely.
And so it's cool to start to see that, because I think if we better prepare our kids in the sport, I think Florida can make more noise, or any state, right? Any kid out there that's wrestling. We just happen to be in Florida right now, but anywhere, any state, prepare them for the next level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are some of your goals now? I know your girlfriend's at Disney, right? And
Yeah.
she's loving it there.
Yes. Some days are better than others, but she really the company and she's super into going to all the parks and stuff. So
I was gonna
uh
say, have you gotten that out of your system yet? Have you been there like 7 times?
she's in a work meeting in the other room, but yeah, I've been there too many times already, man. She can't get
So
I'm
it's funny.
Disney.
I remember when I was younger, and I started. I moved to Orlando, and I met my wife, and we're 20
Yeah.
years old or whatever. It was like every date night was Disney, or every we wanted to go to Disney all the time. It was fun. And then
Right.
there was a point there where we didn't go ever. And then we had kids. And I was like, okay, back to Disney, right? As
Right.
parents. And then the kids got older, and it's like, okay, only once in a while now.
Yeah.
You go through your stages.
Yeah, absolutely. The new rides there are actually pretty crazy. They came out with a Guardians of the Galaxy ride that's pretty sweet, and the new Star Wars ride's pretty cool. So there's definitely some things that are pretty sweet about it, but overall, it's I don't know, it gets old. But
Was it cool to, I know you didn't have the success you wanted to this year, when you ended out at the NCAAs, but was it kind of cool to end your career at home?
um, yeah, it was nice, but I think honestly, I was so locked in, it didn't really matter where the tournament was at. I just wanted to do the best I could have done, and unfortunately, that's not how it went. But that's how life is sometimes. So I think that's also another lesson in like that wrestling can teach you is sometimes you put in all the work and you're just not prepared one day, and just how it goes. You don't get what you want. So
No, I thought I had never been to Detroit, right? So you had heard
yeah,
horror story, right? You heard things, people saying, "Oh my God, Detroit." And I got to tell you what,
right,
I really enjoyed my time there. It was a good time. The city wasn't, I mean, it was all packed with wrestlers, right? But it was
right,
clean. It was a good time. I got to, since I knew some coaches um that were from there, they like, try the old hot dog spot, try the old, this, the M&M's little spaghetti place in the in the alleyway there. Uh
right.
the little pizza shops, right? I got to tell you, I really, really, really believe that, and all the Chicago people were mad at me when I posted this. I was like, Detroit pizza better than Chicago pizza, and everybody attacked me. But if you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Detroit's making a comeback. I think in the next couple of years, if some more businesses keep moving, I think it's gonna just continue to get nicer and nicer. I think it gets a bad rap, to be honest, but
Yeah, I had a good time. I went down. There was some famous hot dog place. It's like been there since like 1910 or something. A little concrete building. The dude would put hot dogs down his arm, and he'd like serve them all up and give them out to you. Uh, it was I enjoyed myself. I found the pizza place. We watched the tournament, um, and just kind of walked around the city and saw the sights. I came back home thinking way different of what I heard. So uh,
right.
I got
That's
to
always
I got to hang out with Flores from Michigan Revolution. He's a cool
okay.
dude. Uh,
Mario, right?
yeah, Mario, man, he's awesome. I saw him at the Fargo also. Um, it was good, man. You're gonna bring down some of your buddies to get into the room and really push this program to the next level.
Absolutely. I've been in contact with some high level guys, just getting things set up, building those connections so we can get some really good guys down here and just make wrestling exciting in the area, make people realize that the villages are on the rise, like and we're really trying to grow wrestling in this area of the state. So
But we
yeah,
started to see some clinics start to happen with you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm always open to running camps, clinics, doing individual stuff. But I think my main focus right now is just building up the Villages program and making them the best in the state eventually, and after that, the best in the country. That's kind of where my head's at. That's my goal. No, that's a lofty goal. It's definitely going to be hard to do, but a couple years down the road,
And it should be your goal, right? Why do this if you're going into it thinking, well, I'm just gonna do it? I mean, you should want to be the best, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. Well, Dresden, man, it's been great to finally meet you, and I hope we get together. I'm sure I'll see you at tournaments. Get to shake
Absolutely.
your hand and say thanks for coming on, man, and I'll be following you.